So do you have to go or can you stick around for the next topic?
I'll be happy to stick around.
Okay.
Oh, yay. Oh, good. Okay, Manisha. We're going to dive into Project 2025. Do you have a drink? Are you
I finished
ready?
my beer. I'm
I
so sad.
do. I do. I think when you talk about the Project 2025, I need a drink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you better
No.
get a drink. I'm going to stick with my diet soda, which I should not be drinking. It's terrible, but I'm drinking it. All right, here we go. 8 minutes on the timer. We can put
Okay.
the timer back on for the last two segments. Okay, Greg, I gave you some shout out and some kudos because everyone's realizing, oh, this is Project 2025. And here we are in the year 2025 and all the way back in 2024, if not maybe even December 2023, you were telling us about this thing called Project 2025 and all these people. And then when the campaign was going on, we were raising the alarms and you were raising the alarms. You were writing and writing, writing before, writing during. And we kind of got dismissed and poo-pooed. And we're told, no, that's not really real. And he doesn't know any of those people. He says he doesn't know those people. So he doesn't, even though he's hanging out with the guys that wrote the book, even though he put his VP pick, wrote the forward for the guy that created it, his own little book. So we were really gaslit on all of that. And here we are.
Yeah. And the Democrats, to their credit, did talk about it. They did make it a campaign issue, but it kind of fell away. And I think people in general, not even in this country, just in general, people have trouble visualizing something that might happen. Just like, the terrorist attacks that are prevented that we never hear about. It's hard to summon the imagination to see how these things work. But, a lot of news outlets have reported about, in this flurry of executive orders, how many of them mirror pieces of Project 2025. So just a few. I got this from an article on Axios. Manisha, you were saying the Johnson era, it's eliminating the Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs, which is, you have the equal opportunity and all that stuff is going to go out the window. There was the thing about there's only two sexes, male and that's going. The trans people in the military, all of this is stuff in the EOs and stuff that's in Project 2025's Mandate for Leadership, which is the name of the book, the 900 and some odd page book. Project 2025 is from the Heritage Foundation, and it's every year. There's a project for every year, but this one was kind of the more evil one, or it's like a vintage of wine that's particularly toxic, I suppose.
Yeah.
Drilling in Alaska,
a lot of volume to it.
Yeah. No more wind power. The troops on the southern border they wanted to curtail the influx of refugees coming from these war-torn places, including, I think this week he denied people from Afghanistan coming here who had helped us in the war and who will probably go back to Afghanistan and die. So
and family members, some of whom were family members of American soldiers.
Right. Yeah, that too. It's just unfair and just horrifying. And then the Paris Climate Accords and the World Health Organization and this Schedule F thing, which is going to enable him to start firing people as per the dictates of not only Project 2025, but Curtis Yarvin, who the New York Times had a big glowy piece about, this intellectual of the Dark Enlightenment. His acronym for it is RAGE, which is it stands for Reform All Government or Employees, right? So they want to just fire all these people.
They just want to fire everybody.
They haven't done it yet, but they've said
the federal government.
Yeah, now, that's what's happened so far, and some of this stuff is going to get, the courts will get involved, and there'll be lawsuits and all this stuff. But I wanted to look at Kevin Roberts, who was the head of the Heritage Foundation in this project, and the forward to the Mandate for Leadership has a couple of points that he makes, that he stresses, and I want to talk about them, just run through them real quickly, just because these are things we have to look out for. Because if we are correct that Trump is going to go into Project 2025 land, these are the things that we have to, that are going to happen, and he's going to try to do. The first is that straight married families with children will enjoy favored status with taxes and everything else. The second thing is gay, lesbian, non-binary individuals be stripped of their civil rights. We're already seeing this happen with this, that community doesn't date back to Johnson. That's more recent anyway. Mm-hmm. So that's going to go away. Pornography will be outlawed. That's going to be fun. That's going to be people. These propertied white men are not going to enjoy that, but I guess we're going to do that anyway. And I think what that does ultimately is that it makes sex workers criminals potentially, right? And most sex workers are women, so it's a war on women thing is ultimately what that means. Trans individuals would be targeted for eradication, which they're already doing with this gender thing, and then it's a matter
the passport thing.
That's going to be a problem when they start, and they're doing it state by state right now. But there's things with medicines and prescription drugs that people take that are important. Blastocysts, zygotes, and embryos have more rights than women. Just like Jesus said. Oh, right. Jesus never said anything about abortion. So, you have these wackadoodle radical Catholic weirdos. This guy, Robert, I think his name is Robert George, who is, I guess, a legal professor. I think he's at Princeton, talking about how they're going to use the 14th Amendment to protect embryos. And that's how they're going to attack the abortion thing, which Alito is there just drooling. He can't wait for this to protect his embryo. This great intellectual, Sam Alito, that we have. Women can and should die in childbirth because, here's a line this is now from Kevin Roberts writing. Conservatives should ardently pursue these pro-life and pro-family policies while recognizing the many women who find themselves in immensely difficult and often tragic situations and the heroism of every choice to become a mother. So that just means we're going to make you do it. And, we're going to applaud you.
We're going to call it heroic.
Yeah.
When you bleed out and die.
Yeah. Then we get into more radical things here.
Sorry, Manisha. I really.
Yes. Yeah. Forced birth babies or babies born to dead mothers should be given to the state. That's something that's been proposed and floated around. The administrative state should be dismantled. We've already discussed that. They think that wanting to ensure that the planet can sustain human life after 2050 is extremism. Everyone should have the right to discriminate against anyone or anything because free speech. This is the whole Elon Musk thing, and that's it. Those are the main points, and they're all horrifying. One more horrifying than the next.
Well, if they come around any one of us up that's on the screen here for our speech, for what we said or what we write, I'll be sure to remind them about that.
Yeah, it's free speech.
It's free speech for them, but not for thee.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Just for themselves.
What do you think, Manisha?
Well, we're getting more and more horrified as Greg kept going down the list. The Nazis used to give German mothers a medal for the number of children they produced.
Oh,
it's like such fascism.
I didn't know that, actually.
It's like this pronatalism. It's Vance and his childless cat ladies comment, and the way they attack Kamala Harris for not being a real mother. All this is like fascist stuff. I mean, the racism, the misogyny, that women are meant to be basically baby incubators, and that's their goal in life. They shouldn't be in public life. They shouldn't be bearing arms. But, Greg, you mentioned dismantling the administrative state, and part of that is getting rid of, like Trump has said now, of something like FEMA, which is like so important for disaster relief, but also the National Weather Service. So you won't even know whether a hurricane is coming at you and is going to hit you or not.
That's another Grant era thing.